Welcome to Buckle Up Podcast Universe with Brandon Rush.
Just doing a quick pre-check before we go on. All right. You are now muted. Tap on mute. And welcome back to the Buckle Up Podcast Universe with Brandon Rush and Mama Rush. We're going to be doing things slightly different tonight. If it's your first time tuning in, I'm actor Brandon Rush. I have been in 80 TV shows and movies. And I started the Buckle Up Podcast with my mom, who's going to be doing a different intro, but I just wanted to have it just in case for you all. She's a retired pharmaceutical sales specialist. We have done 142 episodes as of tonight. Have 18.8 million viewers and listeners in 78 countries and 908 cities around the world. And I'm gonna pause it for now, and then my mom's gonna be taking over in a second whenever she's ready.
Okay, Brandon, let me get this out.
Recording now, Mom.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Buckle Up Podcast Universe, where purpose meets real conversations. Tonight is a very special night because we are turning the spotlight on someone who has helped shape the entire creative universe. I have the honor of introducing my son, an accomplished actor, a storyteller, a journalist, and the creative vision behind this very platform, Brandon Rush. Brandon was born in Richmond, Virginia. He graduated from high school in Virginia and then continued his studies at the University of South Carolina, majoring in journalism and public relations, the same school his father, the late David Nathaniel Smith, attended. From there, Brandon went on to California, where he built a powerful acting career with over 80 film and television credits, earning respect in the industry and becoming a proud member of the Screen Actors Guild, referred to as SAG. He continues to act, create, and inspire, now expanding his work to New York City, where he is transitioning into an exciting new chapter. Together as co host, son, and mother, we've had and have the privilege of interviewing educators, physicians, attorneys, dancers, historians, nurses, young leaders, youth leaders, Mom Rush, a little tie tongue this evening, creatives, professors, and families from all walks of life. Today, the Buckle Up Podcast Universe reaches over, would you believe we've reached over 18.8 million viewers across more than 900 cities worldwide? All starting since I think it was April 2025. So less than a year. God has been faithful with us, all because Brandon dared to create something meaningful, authentic, and rooted in purpose. So tonight we celebrate the journey, the work, the heart, and the impact of this remarkable young man. Family, friends, and fans, please welcome our very own Brandon Rush.
Thank you, Mom. I
All
appreciate
right,
the lovely
Brandon.
introduction.
So, like you always say, this is all about you, Brandon.
Yes,
All
ma'am.
about you. So, let me ask you some questions now.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. I'm
All
here.
righty. What originally pulled you toward acting as a career?
So I've always enjoyed whenever you and Dad used to take us to the movies, I would always be so like just taken away by the movies. It's something that I loved. It's something that I'd be acting out the scenes. Even whenever I went to use the bathroom, if there was an action sequence going on, I'd be like I was acting through the hallways, going to the bathroom. And then me and my brother would always act out the scenes from the California Raisins to different movies. We were always acting out the scenes in our house. I remember with the California Raisins, he was AC and I was Bebop, the drummer, and we act out that entire claymation thing from start to finish, singing along every single scene we would act out. So I was initially drawn to wanting to become an actor from that. But being a kid that grew up in Virginia, there weren't people around that I could look to that have been in the acting business. unless you were from New York or unless you're from Los Angeles, from what I had seen just growing up, that wasn't a possibility for someone like me. So it was a dream that seemed out in the distant, something that wasn't possible at first, at first, basically. And then I guess you could say what you said, what drew me into acting. Is that correct?
Yes, uh-huh. What
So
pulled you toward that profession?
so finally when I started like making the decision was in my senior year of college. I was dating a lovely lady named Cassie Kugler at the time, and I went to visit her, who was the captain of the swim team at University of South Carolina. I went to go visit her and her family in Maryland. We went to school together, but she was gonna be in Maryland for the holidays, and I'm from Virginia, so I wanted to come up there. She asked me to come up and visit her family. So watching movies with Mr. Kugler, Mrs. Kugler, Tina, Talia, Kara, and Cassie. One of the first movies that the dad sat me down to watch was Tombstone with
Hmm.
Kurt Russell, Michael Bean, Sam Elliott, excuse me, and then Bill Paxton, who I had the pleasure of working with too. I've actually met Kurt Russell as well. I was watching that movie with him. I saw how much he liked it, and then he said, "Brandon." Now we were just talking movies so much. He said, "Brandon, if acting is something that you enjoy, you ought to really go into that." And then that is Mrs. Carolyn is her name as well. Carolyn Cougar, Cassie's mom and Mr. Cougar's wife. She even agreed with. She's like, "Brandon, you really should do this. That's something you love." So that's what really got me to go after it because they were so supportive, and I saw how big their house was. And at the time, I was like, "Hey, man, if I'm going to marry this girl one day, I got to make sure that I'm bringing in some money to be able to do that."
Oh, well, wow, that's interesting. Great. Well, tell us about growing up in Richmond and how your early environment shaped your creativity.
So growing up in Richmond, it was me and my brother Dave, and we were play. As I said, we watched movies, a lot of movies as a kids. We played video games all the time. In fact, and then playing sports with dad, and then dad and you both taking us to movies. I think that's what really. I had a great childhood. We were friends with because we played sports. I feel like almost year round between basketball and soccer at first before I ultimately switched to football. um, we were always meeting different groups of people through going to Catholic school and then also just the friends that we had. So being around all those people, either playing video games, playing sports, or watching movies is basically what you could do. And I had a great upbringing. I said I had two amazing parents that we started off in a town home, but then we grew. Then we ended up going into a home that they got for us, and we ended up loving that home.
Oh, that's great. Well, what made you choose journalism and public relations at USC?
Dad.
That.
Yeah, dad, who God rest his soul for you, those that you all out there that don't know me. I lost my father to pancreatic cancer a few years ago. I miss him every day, but he was a graduate of the University of South Carolina, and my dad was also a journalism major there. And he said, "Brandon, you should do broadcast journalism is the thing," because I had no idea at the time what I wanted to do. And with my first visit to University of South Carolina, I went on the tour. They took me on the journalism tour, and I was like, "Hey, this is the right career path for me." And that's ended up why I ended up going there. And I always wanted to be like Dad. Dad was my hero, and Mom, you're one of my heroes too.
Thank you.
But Dad was one of my heroes that I always looked up to, and I always wanted to be like him. I remember one time, even whenever I wanted to be like dad so much. I asked dad if he could cook me some green, like some string beans one time so I could be like him. And I remember grandma heard that because she was there at the time. And she said she teared up from that because I said how much I wanted to be like dad. So
Oh,
seeing him be that journalism major, I wanted to follow in his footsteps. And
mhm.
that's why I chose that. And University of South Carolina was the best, hands down, experience of my lifetime. The only thing that does compare to that for me is being on TV or movies because that's how much fun I had with all my best friends in the world there every single day. I say that if I could be caught in a Groundhog's Day anywhere, it would be back during college on either a Friday or a Saturday because that with the people that I had there at that time because it was amazing the time that I had. And I'm still close friends with all those people. They're my biggest support system.
Oh, great. Well, how did living and working in California influence your career direction?
Well, so I got into an acting school out there that I won't mention, and when my fifth week there, I've worked all kinds of jobs, even in New York City. When I lived in New York City for a summer, I've worked jobs there. But the different how it impacted me, I worked at a bar, started off working at a bar, and I was always telling people that I was there to be an actor. And I remember it kind of got, I got to mention the story because it's one that sticks with me. I remember getting to a point where like I felt like I was getting made fun of so much for being a person that had a college degree and that was working at a bar as a bouncer while trying to pursue acting. It wasn't by everybody, it was just from people from time to time. And so that always like bothered me to a point where I remember at one point I stopped telling people that I wanted to be an actor. I just kept quiet about it altogether. But I did have people that were so encouraging of me during that time. So if I wasn't working at the bar, I was doing background work as well. I was the stand-in for Lawrence Fishburne, who played Morpheus in The Matrix. Is probably the thing that he's one of the things he's most well known for. And I was able to learn the craft then, but also my fifth week at in Los Angeles. I was going to this acting school. You were only allowed 3 days off. You're only allowed to take 3 days off. And I remember my best friend Chris Nagel, one of my best friends, Chris Nagel, was getting married to Crystal Nagel, and I had to take 2 days off of my school in order to. I had to have 2 days off in order to be able to go to his wedding. And so I was going to miss those 2 days of school. But the following week, I had these days off. And I'm like, man, why did it happen to fall on why couldn't this have fallen on the days when I had off of school? Well, God had it so that I went out for a commercial for Guitar Hero World Tour. So just to tell you the story a little bit, I believe God sends things in threes. And I got this message that they were looking for someone that could do a suicide dive into a worm while I was at school. Now, I can dance. I can do a dive, but I can't do the worm. So I went. I looked at it. I was like, okay, this is something I can't do. So I'm not going to even try and perform this worm. So I got that was the first message I got while I was at school around 11. When I got around 2 p.m., I got a second message that hey, we're still looking for someone that can do a suicide dive into a worm. A notification to my phone. I tried it in my apartment in LA in Westwood. Almost got hurt. I said, forget this. I'm not doing it. I'm not gonna get myself hurt up here trying to do something. But then I got a third message, probably around 3 o'clock, saying, hey, we're still looking for someone that can do a suicide dive into a worm. Um, so I was like, you know what, man, I'm just gonna go. I believe God sends things in threes. It was supposed to be the risky business Tom Cruise type commercial. So I got dressed up. I put on a white shirt. I think I had some sunglasses, and then I had some black pants on. And I left the house with $20. I didn't realize how bad traffic was at the time in LA, but you can't get anywhere at 3 o'clock to 5, 3 o'clock probably to 7. You can't travel anywhere in LA. But I tried to go down to the bus stop. The bus wasn't working, so I found a taxi, and I got into a taxi. It was this Ethiopian driver, and I said, I looked at my wallet, thought I had money, but the $20 I thought I had wasn't in there. And so he said, you know what? I'll take you the whole entire way. So this kind man drove me to almost maybe about a mile outside to all the way into Hollywood, from Westwood to Hollywood, which is about 8 miles. And he said, hey, is it okay if I drop you off here? I said, hey, man, you've been more than a blessing in my lifetime. I can't thank you enough. I thought I had this money. I can't, I don't have it. But I appreciate you for doing this. I'll walk the rest of the way. So I put on my marching hat, man. I walked down to I think it's called Executive Station Studios or something. And I remember looking in outside. I'm in my dress shirt. I have my dress pants on and a tie because you're supposed to look like Tom Cruise in Risky Business. And I was like, I have to do something different. I'm going to take off my pants and I'm going to walk into this room where I see Guitar Hero and it have my boxers on, my dress shirt. And I'm going to walk in there and just from the get go. That was my first audition. So I didn't realize that they had a waiting room. So when I walked in, I looked to my right, and it was basically a line of about 20 supermodels for a Verizon commercial waiting there. And they're looking at me, they're smiling, giggling, and stuff like that. And I'm just like, in my head, I'm just like, oh man, I didn't realize this. And then the casting director or the casting assistant associate was like, you could have gotten undressed inside the room or whatever. And just to back it up a little bit, I had to say that I called that casting office and I said, hey, are you guys still casting? And they said they were. That was at 4 o'clock. So I got there right around 4:45 to this audition. And right before I go into this audition, they say, hey, did you look at the dance choreography? I'm like, what dance choreography? So I look at it real quick. I'm a really good dancer. I do the choreography. The music hits the just let your soul and rock and roll. And I go in there, I jump up in the air, I hit the suicide dive into a worm. I do my little dance number in the middle, and you're supposed to do it twice. I get back around, I hit it a second time, and I do my dancing thing again, and then I finish, and like I stop for a second. The casting director goes, "That is the best we have seen all day.
Mhm.
And I literally remember I called you, Mom, because I took this bus back
Yeah.
to Westwood. I called you and I said, Mom, as long as I go into every audition and I do exactly what I did today, meaning as long as I go all out and give it all I got, then that's all that I'll be satisfied with that, because I realized that I had left it all in the room there. And
Mhm.
when I got home later that evening, they called and they said, "Hey, are you we want to book you for this commercial. Are you SAG?" And at the time, I was non-union. And in order to do a SAG commercial, you have to be either SAG or you have to be Taft-Hartley, which is the rarest way. And they said, I said, "No, sir, I'm not SAG." He's like, "You know what? We're going to Taft-Hartley you anyway." So I ended up doing this commercial for Guitar Hero at Sony Picture Studios with Kobe Bryant, Michael Phelps, Alex Rodriguez, Tony Hawk. I think I said Michael Phelps, Heidi Klum, and then yeah, it ended up going well. And that was my first commercial that got me into SAG. And it ended up falling on the 2 days that we had off from school. So God had it in my forecast that the days that we had off, that I was upset that I had gone to Chris's wedding and I was going to miss those days later that I might need, thinking I was going
Uh-huh.
to get through SAG through background work. I ended up booking this national commercial for Guitar Hero. And those
Oh.
days that I was off, I filmed both those days.
Oh, wow. Wow. That's I tell you, that's something, Brandon. I just listened to you tell that. And you mentioned Taft Hartley. And is it Hartley or Hardy?
Hartley, Hartley. So it's
Ex-
Taft Hartley. I think Taft, Taft with a little
uh-huh.
dash in the middle. Hartley, Hartley, which is the hardest way to get into SAG and the rarest way to get into SAG.
Okay, it's the hardest and it's the rarest way because what? That's
So
that's
so basically, the only other way to get into SAG would be you have to get into SAG by booking either a speaking role, because SAG is a union. You have to
mm-hmm,
get in either by doing a speaking role or by getting
hmm
three union background vouchers, which is something they don't even give out. Working background, if they happen to say, "Hey, we have an extra voucher here that's union," they'll give it to somebody.
hmm
So there's people that wait a lifetime trying to get that union voucher. People wait a long time trying to get in a SAG.
hmm
Or the other way, Taft-Hartley was created because there's a union. It was created for people like me who or they can't find someone that's in the union to do a job, so they find a person that they believe is right for the position that might be non-union. So they saw me with the union time. They said, "Hey, this guy is better than he's the best we've seen. No one else can do this project. We think it's him that is right for this project. We want to book him in it." So the casting office and the production I think the production company pays a fine in order for that to happen, and in
Oh,
order for you to be cast in that.
wow, that's exciting for me to hear.
Yes,
Um,
ma'am.
and I always wanted. I heard about it when we first went out to California. I
Yes,
think
ma'am.
we saw a guy, and he told how he had made it, and he
Yeah.
mentioned that. And so you made up in your mind that that's how you're going to make it. Or it was going to happen for you. And
Yes, ma'am.
God has been fabulous. He
Yes, ma'am.
continues to be that in your life as well as mine and our family. What excites you most about your transition to New York now?
Well, I'm still going back and forth for those people out there. I'm still going back and forth, but
Hmm
New York, I just feel like it's New York's a place that I've worked in New York the last 7 years anyway.
hmm
But I feel that New York is a place where I can truly thrive. I've always loved New York City. I'm a New Yorker at heart. I love that city. I love showing people around that city. I feel that like where the business has shifted, it's not so much in LA anymore.
hmm
So if it's one of those things where I need to be where the action is, and I also want to do theater. So being in New York is right where I need to be and want to be. And because I have access, because as you already know, and for the audience that doesn't know,
hmm
I've worked in New York, Los Angeles, Atlanta, Pittsburgh, Virginia, South Carolina, New Orleans, San Jose, California, Mexico, and even London now with acting, all those places that I need to be places where I can get to work fast. Coming from California is a lot harder. I still do it, but it's a lot harder when there's so much work over here. So if I had to go book a job in London, coming from California to London can be you have to put the time factor into it, and time's working against me coming back from California. Where if I'm traveling from New York to London or New York to anywhere, it's a lot faster.
Okay. Which acting role challenged you the most and why?
Honestly, I'd probably say the first one. And the first one was the Green Hornet. because I was so nervous. I remember it's a special moment that I definitely want to share here, where is I found out that I was cast in the Green Hornet, and it was my first year in LA. I was feeling like the loneliest kid on the earth, and then my mom called me and she said, "Hey, well, what are you doing on this day?" I'm like, I don't know. I think I'm working. She's like, well, do you think you can pick me up from the airport? So my mom flew into town for my birthday, and that would turned out that would be the day before my birthday. And it turns out that I would be filming on the next day on my birthday, I would be filming. But that day I was doing stand-in for Lawrence Fishburne at for CSI. And I didn't have anyone to pick you up, Mom. So I called one of my best friends in the world, Carter Kinsella, and Carter Kinsella came and picked you up from the airport that day. So going into why the Green Hornet was one of the most challenging days for me, just because it was nerves. I've never been on that, even though I had done the commercial. This was my first speaking part as a union actor on a big film that Seth Rogen wrote, and I was just nervous. It was those first nerves of being in that position, and then I remember on the day they came up to me about 10, 15 minutes before, and they said, "Brandon, you're an actor, right?" I said, "Yes, I am." They said, "We want you to go outside. We want you to memorize this two-page script, and then you're going to come back in here and do it in 10, 15 minutes." And like, I've been calling you mom all day anyway because I was nervous the whole entire
Yeah.
time. But at that moment, I didn't have time to be nervous. I didn't have time to be scared. I had to memorize the dialogue. So luckily, the other actor that I was partnered with, he had the dialogue because he had been in that part. For whatever reason, they shifted me into that part of this co-anchor and interviewing him. So me and him, we just worked on it at first. I had the paper in my hands. He said, "Hey, Brandon, let's put the paper down, and then we'll just kind of run it back and forth. It should go pretty naturally." So we worked on it. We worked on it. We came in there. They get me all uh, together because I'm supposed to be this news anchor. And right when they said action, I went and did my scene. And then after I had finished that scene, that guy came up to me and he's like, "Man, are you really a news anchor?" I was like, "No, I'm an actor." And he's like, yeah. They're like, because you absolutely killed it. And I remember the makeup department, who was at Video Village, is where they kind of film and able to see everything. She said, "Man, that camera really loves you. You're really loved by that camera." I didn't know exactly what she meant at the time. I still don't really know what she means by it, but she's like, "That camera loves, like the camera loves you, and the way you look on film is you're gonna have a long career," is what she told me. She was
Oh,
the first person to ever tell me you're gonna have a long career. And 16 years later, we're still here kicking it.
this is that I tell you, I know, I remember, and that day, and I recall you talking with me, and I just said a word to the Lord. I said, "Lord, he feels he's taking the whole world on trying to
Yeah.
help us and everything, and he's has all of this in his mind. He's worked so hard, and God gave me a peace about it, and then He gave you a peace." And
Yes,
I
ma'am.
think from that particular movie, I got a chance to be on the red carpet or walk with you and see the preview of that movie. Is that
Yeah.
called pre-screening of
Yes,
the
ma'am.
movie?
The pre-screening was Seth Rogen. He did a pre-screen at Sony Picture Studios.
Oh, I felt so proud. I thought I just wanted to thank the Lord because we have walked on the red carpet there
Yes,
at
ma'am.
time and would have had and we have more opportunities to do that. So what have you learned from working alongside seasoned actors?
I actually have learned a lot from working along seasoned actors. In fact, one of the things I've always tried to do, and even still to this day, is I always try to stay as close to set as possible because
Mhm,
I am always learning. That's the thing about acting; you can always get better. It's one of those things where you can keep getting better and better and better because there's no way to perfect it completely.
mhm,
But you can. I personally, for myself, I get better by learning, and I've learned so many things just by being on set. Even when I was working stand-in, for all the people that I've worked stand-in for and all the background I've worked background for, because they don't teach you in theater schools and stuff like that, and even in audition classes, they don't teach you how you're supposed to where you're supposed to stand at on set, where you're supposed to look, hitting your marks. They don't teach, as far as I know, they don't teach any of that stuff from what I've seen. So by being on set around these seasoned actors, I got to see those things. Okay, and I got to do them personally because I was Lawrence Fishburne's stand-in. What the stand-in does is they mark the whole entire scene for the crew and the lighting that's going to be going on and the director. So you walk through the whole entire scene, you rehearse the dialogue too of the scene of the actors back and forth, and they'll record it all through rehearsal and that pre stuff with second team or stand-ins, so that whenever the first team comes in, which is the professional, the principal actors, they'll actually do that stuff. They'll have that all marked and all filmed so that they're not wasting time. They're ready
Mhm.
to shoot and film because time is money in that business, especially. And a minute can cost $100,000, if not more. That's
Mm.
how expensive movies are to make. And so by being a stand-in, I was able to learn all the tricks of the trade. It was the best. It taught me more than any school could probably teach me when it came to learning the business and learning how to perform as an actor and learning how to perform as on set, because the audition process is a completely different beast than on I call the audition process is like playoffs and tough being on playoffs. And then I would say actually being on set when you book the role is like
Mhm.
celebrating the Super Bowl because you're finally getting to do the job. All the really extremely tough stuff happens leading up to that, I think.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, with that said, how do you prepare mentally and emotionally for your roles?
Now it's that's actually a great question, Mom. How do I prepare mentally for these roles? I've been in the business now for years, and by preparing is the one thing. I make sure that I have the lines down front and back. I make sure that even when I'm doing my auditions, I make sure that I have that dialogue down to where I can run and do the dialogue, where I can perform other things, or where I can have distractions around. That's how I first started learning by purposely putting distractions on to keep me from. They'll try to like throw me off. So like leaving the TV on while trying to learn the dialogue, or by having certain things happening while trying to do the dialogue, because that prepares you to live within the scene, I believe,
Mm-hmm.
and be able to be prepared for anything that could happen. And even being on the Green Hornet was one of those times where I remember seeing one of the crewmen walking. I could see him walking on out the corner of my eye when I was trying to perform. And
Mm-hmm.
at first I thought he was even laughing. I'm like, is this guy laughing? Like, I don't know what was going on. So I'm so like tuned in now that
Mm-hmm.
it just comes second nature, I would say.
Well, I'm always and
Yes,
emotionally.
ma'am.
Yeah, I take. Yeah, I said mentally and emotionally. I
Yes, ma'am.
understand how you prepare. I'm always surprised, not surprised, but I guess I don't know how to describe it. Maybe amazed. Maybe I always stand in amazement to see how you can memorize dialogue in like 10 pages of dialogue and get it down in half an hour, and you have it in your mind. You
Yes, ma'am.
go and you do your self tape or your role, and then you erase that information out of your brain. And
Yes, ma'am.
so with me being a scientist, I always have to maintain the memory muscle to be able to bring that information back to a physician or whatever. And
Yes,
so,
ma'am.
but your brain always amazes me. Always. Okay.
Thank you, Mom. It wasn't always like that. Honestly, it takes time and it takes practice, because I remember saying, "How am I ever going to be able to memorize that kind of dialogue?" To
Mhm.
now, I'm able to get it. It's taken years of repetition. And the mind, I believe, is like a muscle, and it,
Mhm.
it does grow exponentially every time you're learning these dialogues. And because of how fast you have to learn them, like the situation I said with them giving me that dialogue before, like just
Mhm.
a couple minutes before, that's happened to me several times on set. And
Mhm.
so just by being prepared and knowing that that's going to happen, I'm just naturally in tune to it. To why crisis mode doesn't happen for me. It's, hey, I know how to manage this. This could be thrown at you, so you're prepared for it.
Oh, okay.
What did you say, when preparation meets opportunity, I think?
Okay. Yep, that's right. I think that's right, Brandon.
Yes,
What
ma'am.
is something about acting that would surprise people?
I believe the thing that would surprise people the most is actually how long you're on set for, and how long it takes to film those scenes, and how many takes it is too.
Mm.
So people don't realize within any given shot that could be like 72 takes of different angles, because every time I've had a friend just blowing up my phone like crazy and I can't turn it off like out of all the times.
Mhm.
Um, Whenever you're filming, every time you see a camera change or a different angle, that's a different take that they have to do.
Mm.
Because let's say that me and you were doing a scene right now.
Mm.
Right now, for the cameras that's filming me as I'm talking, they're filming my coverage right now. On the exact opposite, they're going to have to flip that, and then they're going to have to film your version of us having the same conversation back and forth between us two. And then before that, they had to do a master, which is an establishing shot of what's going on in the scene, where it's taking place. They have to get that angle, and we have to do the whole entire scene like that again. Then they have to do close-ups and all. So it's a lot like that that I think doesn't might surprise people, of how many people it takes, how many takes it takes to film those different angles and all that, because it's not just one, and that's why the hours last so long.
Okay. Well, what inspired you to start the Buckle Up Podcast Universe?
Honestly, my reasoning behind starting the Buckle Up Podcast Universe was, one, I knew you were thinking about going back to work, and I was just like, Lord, help me to find some kind of way to just be able to help out my mom and help out my family, Mason. And then Mason coming up to me and saying, "Hey, Uncle B, I'm worried I'm not going to be able to pay for college." So I literally spent almost 4 days up trying to figure something out. And then my buddy Dave at that time, at the exact same time, Dave Ballman, had said, "Hey, Brandon, we should do a podcast. It'd be cool to kind of start up a podcast." And I told Dave, "You know what, man, I'm going to go figure that out." And then that's just what I did. I figured that out. I've always enjoyed meeting people because I travel all around the world for acting. I've always enjoyed meeting people from different places and getting to know what their stories are. I'm a person that really likes to know what makes people tick. I don't like to know about them, and I like conversating with random strangers. So I realized with the podcast that I could do that, give people have the opportunity to tell their stories. Also, is my opportunity to, because the Lord has blessed me and I have a big platform to where I'm on TV in the film business, that people will get a chance to be seen. People will get a chance to be seen on that kind of level. They'll be able to get seen on an entertainment level because of me being on TV and film, because I'm an actor for a living,
Yeah.
and so it gives those people to get an opportunity to be seen by millions, as we have 18.8 million viewers and listeners in 78 countries now and 908 cities around the world. So that's the reason, one of the reasons I did it, because I said, you know what, if God has shined this light on me, let me use my light to bridge that gap between other people and let them have an opportunity to shine too.
Oh, Brandon, I just love that thought process because when you said, Mom, would you come on the show, be a part of the show with me? You said, Mom, it's about everyday people that may never be seen in life and be able to talk with others, impact others in a positive way, make a difference for someone else's life. It's not just about your life, it's about mankind, humanity,
Yes, ma'am.
and putting that spotlight, your spotlight that God has put on you, and putting that spotlight on others, and then making sure that other stories impact others in a world that are trying to figure out who and what they can be, or how they can change what they don't like, or probably grow what they do like. Um,
Yes, ma'am.
then that is why when you said your vision and you came to me and I heard your vision, then I knew that we had to accomplish this mission that
Amen.
God had put us here for. And I
Yes, ma'am.
do believe that He gives each one of us a mission in this life. And we will accomplish that mission, or He'll make you repeat it over and over again until you get it right. And He's
Yes, ma'am.
directing your path at that time. And so to be a part of this with you, I am so excited every time we have a guest coming on, because we both are learning so much, and we are growing along with the show,
Yeah.
and who are on the show. Okay, how does it
I'm
feel?
sorry, Mom. I did want to say one thing, and I wanted to say thank you for you coming on and being my co-host on the show and being able to being my partner in crime with this show, because I was worried at first when I was first of all I was worried to ask you, because I know a lot of times if I try to record you don't want to be recorded around the house. So I was worried about asking you because I know sometimes I like to have a private life, which is completely fine.
Mhm.
But it made me feel so good that whenever I asked you to do it, you say, you know what, I was waiting to find out when you were going to ask me, actually.
Yeah.
So to have your support has meant everything to me, and you're the bright spark in the show. People love the questions you ask. Like, everybody's always asking, "How's your mom doing?" And so and it gives the opportunity for people to see you for your true light.
Yeah.
I've mentioned that you are the funniest person that I know in this world, and I've been happy for people to get the chance to hear your story from time to time, and they get a
Mhm.
chance to see you in such a light that they didn't know, might not have known about, and realize why
Oh,
you were always told to me the life of the party.
thank you, Brandon. Thank you, Brandon. I appreciate that. What have you learned about leadership through hosting this show?
What have I learned about leadership through hosting this show? I actually wouldn't say so much. You know what? I actually will say that, look, it's a couple things with that. Leadership through the show. I always said, God, send me to the place where I can do the most good. I remember when I first, and this is leading into why I'm saying the leadership part. When I
Mm-hmm.
first decided to pursue this career in acting, I knew that I would be going far away from home, 2,600 miles away from home, where I didn't know a person, I didn't know a soul, but I would be by myself, and I would have God. And I believed that at that point that I could handle whatever this world was going to throw at me. And so I asked God if I can go over there and can accomplish this and can come back to the East Coast, that I could hopefully be this beacon of light and show people that it's possible. But I would have to bridge that gap. And for me to bridge that gap, it was through acting. Me becoming a leader was going to be through, I think about the people that I've seen in the Bible who traveled far from home and
Mm-hmm.
have gone on to accomplish things away from their home where they have that safety net. I knew in LA, I didn't have a safety net. I just had myself and my faith. And by accomplishing those things, I knew I had to bridge that gap back, which is why when I finally booked that role in Atlanta, why that was such a big deal for me, because I accomplished something that most actors never accomplish in their lifetime, which is not just filming in LA, which a lot of actors don't ever accomplish that, but working in Atlanta. So I'm now working on two coasts, then going from Atlanta to New York to New Orleans, which are all these places that I filmed. And I was able to bring you and invite you. The reason
Yeah.
I say that brought me the leadership, because that I was built through fire and through hard work and through all that I had to endure from a lot of negativity that I had to endure. But
Ooh.
that helped me to be a leader now, to where by me, the best way to lead, I've always said, is by out front, which
Mm-hmm.
is why I did that in going to LA, which is why I've done that in going to New York, which is throughout my career. And by being the leader of one of the leaders of the show, I feel it's people are saying, "Hey, man, this guy is a person that continually takes risk." And I always felt, and that's why I always say, "Clear eyes, full hearts can't lose."
Mm-hmm.
Because it's I wanted people to know that I wasn't afraid. I used to always say, "Clear eyes, full hearts can't lose" before my auditions. And I can't tell you the amount of times on my Snapchat how many people would say "can't lose" back, and how many people that have followed my journey still write me today, "Clear eyes, full hearts can't lose." It's been thousands.
Yeah.
And that let me know that that's been what my leadership, I think, has been, Mom, is the fact that I'm a person that is willing to go out and do something by myself or be the first to do it, because so if someone sees, "Hey, man, Brandon's able to do this, maybe I can do that too." And so with the podcast, by us asking and inviting these people on from around the world, they're seeing that, hey, like, look, we find them interesting. It's okay to be out there. It's okay if they're nervous, but they have a platform that's safe. And then they have two people that have gone through in their own respective professions, Mom, you and yours, and then me and mine, but you and yours as as a rep and all that you have accomplished. But they see that the two of us are doing this as a son and a mom and son combination, and that we're both leaders, and that that's something that they can draw from.
Oh, yes. Oh, that's wonderful. And it's that saying is clear hearts.
Clear eyes, full hearts can't lose. And
Okay.
then, not to get even choked up about it, but I remember one of the last things before Dad passed away, he said to me was, "Clear eyes, full hearts can't lose."
Full
And
hearts.
that stuck with me, and I have that on tape still. But I think about that too.
Okay. That leads into this question. How
Yes.
did your father's battle with pancreatic cancer shape your mission today?
Man, that has been,
This is tough. This is a
yeah.
tough part. We get
It's it's
into
okay. It's
it.
okay.
And that's why that clear eyes, full heart can't lose, because you stated what your daddy, you said exactly on your daddy's dying bed. I heard him, I saw him say
Yeah.
words. But anyway, let's do this.
I got it. No, I got it. I can get through it.
You okay? Okay.
Yeah, I'm fine. For me, wait, I'm sorry. Was it the question was something about that? What was it?
Father's battle with pancreatic cancer shape your mission today.
I think it's I've always been a leader in my own, and how it shaped my. I felt when Dad left here, I felt that it wasn't. I would have loved for my older brother to have stepped up and done that, but I felt like it fell on me, even like within my dad's own family, of
Mm-hmm.
my dad being the leader in his own family. I think that people looked at my dad, because my
Mm-hmm.
dad was a strong person
Mm-hmm.
who when Dad left home, I think about a lot of times when Dad left Carolina to go up to Delaware. He
Uh-huh.
didn't know anybody up there. I had said earlier in this interview that I always wanted to be like Dad, and that's one of the things I prided myself on. In fact, that Dad left Denmark, South Carolina, where in Columbia, where everybody knew him, to go into Delaware, where he didn't know a single soul, and made a name for himself. And then ended up, going down to Virginia, and then becoming the Deputy Secretary of Commerce and Trade for the state of Virginia. I saw what Dad was able to accomplish, great things. A kid from small beginnings, what he was able to go and accomplish for himself. And then with that shifting to me, that's why my dad has been my hero for so long. Mom, and as I say, you're one of my heroes too. But because you went up to DuPont, in Delaware as well. But with Dad being gone, I literally felt during that timeline of me shifting to Michael Corleone is the best way that I say it.
Mhm.
And it's not something that I wanted to do,
Mhm.
but it's something that I felt that Dad used to always watch Godfather with me. In fact, I was watching Godfather with Dad before he was dying. That was one of Dad's favorite movies, and we used to watch it all the time on Thanksgiving and things like that. Dad was this. Dad to me was the main dad, the main Godfather, not Michael, but the Vito Corleone. That's who Dad was to me, was Vito Corleone. And I felt like I was Michael. That whole entire scene in the movie where the dad is talking to him in the garden at the end, right before he ultimately passes away, he's advising Michael on what he's going to have to do with the family going forward. And I feel like that, and Michael was a hero in the movie. He had been a soldier that had gone out and done battle. He had left the family business and had left home where it was safe and gone out and done his own thing and made a name for himself. So I felt more of that Michael role since taking over, where I've had to just be there for the family and handle situations that needed handling. um, and that's just I feel like Dad prepared me. I'm not
Oh,
sure that answers the question, but I feel like that I just had to step up and be the strong one.
yeah.
But Dad always knew I was strong.
Okay, that's great. I want to talk about this pancreatic cancer
Yes, ma'am.
that your daddy had, and there are a couple of actors that have died recently. I think you met one of them or either both of them. I
Uh,
know.
I worked with both of them. James Van Peek, I met working on CSI Cyber, and then Eric 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 Dane. I might have pronounced his last name wrong, but he passed away of ALS.
Okay, all righty. And then we have the young man from South Carolina that died. He went to Howard University.
Oh, Chadwick Boseman, who died of colon cancer, I believe.
Yeah, always mess up his last name.
Yes, ma'am.
And so the importance of pancreatic cancer. What should viewers know about this being very important and screening for pancreatic cancer? And then I will say something towards that because I want to speak on that a minute too.
Okay.
Uh,
I definitely, yeah, no, you get mom.
go ahead. Go ahead. Because
So several things I wanted to say. If your family is battling cancer, if they're not getting the proper nutrition, one of the things to look into is TPN. I would say one of my really dear friends, because my dad wasn't drinking a whole lot of water. He couldn't. I can understand the way that was attacking him. He wasn't really that thirsty. He wasn't drinking much stuff, and I saw him losing so much weight. And I remember a friend of mine who's a professional doctor said, "Is he on TPN?" And I don't know exactly the whole. You have to Google what TPN is, but basically, it was basically he could still get nutrition, and Dad hadn't been on, and I thought that that was something that was wrong. That Dad didn't know about that until the end, and that was something that should have been provided to him. Also, for people, I would say getting a CT scan when it comes to pancreatic cancer, a CT scan is what picked up that Dad had pancreatic cancer because he had been misdiagnosed prior to that. They thought he was a diabetic, but really it was pancreatic cancer that he had. So a CT scan would have picked that up earlier. So that's something I think people should know.
Yeah. And Brandon, I love that you've spoken on that because cancer, anything, anything you feel ill at ease, that's what a disease is. Anything that makes you feel ill at ease is a disease. But with that said, um, early screening, next month, March, the month of March out there, viewers, will be colon screening month. And I know they've changed their age range. And I've always said that one should be an advocate with for his or her health, working with his or her doctor to make sure that happens. And I know they've shifted when colon screening should be done. And they do colonoscopies and calling on a gastroenterologist in my profession, specialist in my profession. I advocated for myself. And I want to talk quickly about that. I
Oh, yeah,
advocated
you're good.
for myself because I saw colonoscopies, and that was the standard of care colonoscopies, they would do that. And I saw the procedure done because I would do preceptorships with physicians. And I would go into the operating room with them and see these preceptorships. And I said, wow, that's very invasive. And so I said they should come up with a non-invasive way to do it. And I saw them do a pill camera that people could. And I said to the Lord, I said, Lord, you got to come up with something for me, something other than what I'm seeing done. Though I knew that was the most powerful way to find out if you had a polyp that would lead to colon cancer, and they could actually excise that out before it would lead to cancer. But with that said, I saw this thing. I read something about Cologuard, and that was way before they would approve Cologuard to be used. And
Yes, ma'am.
what it is a screening. It's non-invasive, and then what it will do is it's just I'll talk about that on another show.
No, go ahead,
But
finish it. Go ahead
but
and talk
but
about
but
it.
with that, you can use they send you a kit, and I saw this little kid of this little thing, and I looked at it and I said, oh, I told the Lord, that's the answer for me. Now, this is before any insurance company would approve that. And you had to be at a certain age to get it. So I went and talked with the gastroenterologist. I called on the nurses I spoke with and everything. I said, well, let me push the insurance company. And I pushed it for myself when they would not approve that for standard of care. And I'm talking about, this was about 8 years ago. I pushed it for
Yes, ma'am.
myself. And I went on through person after person at the insurance company till I said, well, let me get to the top, which I did. And I got to the top and I said, I've worked on it. I've seen this process and I want everybody to listen to this. And so I advocated for myself. They sent me one of the first kits they probably ever sent out.
Wow.
Used and I followed those directions in that kit, sent my tests back in. And don't you know now to this day, that is the standard of care. They don't rush these gastroenterologists do not rush out people. I want y'all to know that and do a colonoscopy. They use the standard of care using Cologuard. There's another company's come up, and I'm going to talk about them the next time on another show. And they've
Okay.
come up now with this screening, pre-screening test. But also that doesn't stop them from doing colonoscopies. They have to ask certain questions, your family history of cancer, colon cancer. So there are things, but if we can get that to happen. If I did it for myself and looking at Brandon, how he worked with his dad with pancreatic cancer, and I see him in the hospital advocating for his daddy when his daddy couldn't speak. He wrote up on the board behind in the hospital. They have these boards where doctors write notes and stuff. He wrote that big old note up on that board that the doctors write on, and it said, what, Brandon? Clear.
It said, clear eyes, full hearts, can't lose. And I remember the nurse walked in and she said, I knew it was going to be a good day when I saw that on the board. And it touched her. And I wrote that on the board for Dad because that's what I believed in. And I know Dad loved it too. And so she saw that and she walked in. She said she knew that day was going to be a great day. That's why I love nurses so much because of how they took care of Dad.
Yeah, and I love them so much because I know how much I've talked with them and I loved when I would take them out to dinners and do programs teaching them science and how much they appreciated that, as well as the doctors, because they would tell me, Karen, you come with something we haven't studied yet. Can you enlighten us? And that made me feel good in the profession I chose of being a scientist.
Yes,
But with
ma'am.
that said, I appreciate how you took care of your daddy,
Thanks, ma'am.
take care of me, and how your daddy just depended on you and he knew that you would be there for him through thick and thin. And you gave up, and the audience might not know this, but Brandon gave up his career for about 4 months. He left California, went to Richmond, and took care of his father through his last days. And I don't know many kids who would do that, but do that as a young person out there trying to make a name for himself or herself. But Brandon did that. And I think that's why God made sure he had that last name of Rush So his God-given name is Smith, but Rush, he rushes things. He makes sure things happen fast. God rushes things. He makes things happen fast. And so, Brandon, with that, I had to interject my little spiel. And let's go back to you now.
Yes, man. Oh, so, but
Okay.
Bob, I want to say that honestly, it's the it was already instilled in me because I saw you do it with your granddad, and I saw you do it with your dad and your mom, and I
Thank
saw
you.
dad do it with his dad and his mom. And what people might not know about you all, that you all drove 6 hours from
Hmm.
Virginia to South Carolina to take care of for dad was the furthest living sibling away, and then for you the furthest besides Ben living away, but you both went back to take care of your parents, which that says a lot about you all, and that says that that should be what kids do. I know not every kid does that, but
Hmm.
I saw you two do it, and I was there to help along with you guys some of the times, at least with
Hmm.
Granddad Smith especially. I was in college when Granddad Hall was going through his stuff, but I saw you all do it first. So when you have, that's why I always say kids are watching, and when you have such great examples that I had as in parents like you both, that doing the right thing is not something that comes hard.
Oh, well, great, Brandon. I'm glad. I want to talk through that process because I know and that I tear up sometime when I hear you speak about your father because I know how much he loved you all. And I think when he found out he had pancreatic cancer, I could see in his face he was saying to the Lord, Lord, I don't want to leave my sons here. I got to go early. And his grandson, Mason, was two, no, Mason was five.
Yeah, Mason like 5 or 6 at the time.
When granddaddy
Smith.
got pancreatic
Yes, man.
cancer, but Mason was right there entertaining. And I
Yes, he was.
do a shout out for Mason here. This is my grandson, Mason Smith. And Mason was the entertainer for
Absolutely.
Dave as well. He was there coming in, keeping him excited about things and about life. And I knew with your daddy having his spirit going on to the Lord, his concern, he probably spoke to the Lord, prayed to the Lord that he would take that from him. Uh,
Yes, man.
but it wasn't to be. It wasn't to be. And I appreciate the Lord in having you by his side, Mason by his side, to make sure that this process of transition of life, and when a child is with their parent, helping them through those last days of this
Yes, man.
life, they can leave here knowing that, oh, yes, Lord, thank you for giving me children that have will change society, continue to change society, continue to do it in a positive way and a respectful way, being a respectful, truthful leader and someone that others can follow in the right direction. And
Yes, man.
so that's what I want to say. Now it's time
Oh,
for
sorry, Mom. I just want to say one thing. Yeah, I mentioned Mason at my dad's funeral. I talked about Mason. Mason, I love him to death, and he was just he's been one of my best friends. Then, still is to this day. He was my ride or die through all of that. And one of the brightest days was when he'd come over. Sorry, one of the brightest days for me was when he'd come over and help me and be there for me. And that person always cheered me up. So just had to say that for a second.
yeah,
But I love Mason. Yeah.
yeah. But that I appreciate that so much. God has been fabulous to us. Sabrina. He
Yes,
has
ma'am.
been our he has been our all in all.
Yes, ma'am.
I thank the Lord that we have a foundation appreciating God for everything He has done and will continue to do for us, and how He shines that light
I'm good.
in the dark world. He's shining that light forward.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
All
Yeah.
right.
All righty.
We're getting ready to the part that we always do.
The lightning round.
Lightning round questions. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Now let's get it. It's going to be fast, Brandon.
Okay, that sounds good.
Lightning round questions. West Coast or East Coast?
East Coast all day.
Yeah.
You
East.
ask anybody that knows me, even on the West Coast, they'll tell you Brandon's East Coast all day.
Great, great. Your dream city to film in?
Ooh, that's tough. Okay, in the United States, it's New York.
Okay.
That's been hands down because of the history and all that. It's always been New York. Overseas, ooh, I honestly, I'm gonna say London, London or Australia. It's gonna be one of those two.
Oh, Okay. All
Those
right.
have been my top. They've always been my tops.
Oh, okay. Favorite movie you ever watched?
I think Inception is my favorite movie with Christopher Nolan, and the second one would be Lucky Number 11, which is a movie with Josh Hartnett and Bruce Willis, Morgan Freeman. It's a movie that was it's like a dramedy, but you don't. I remember watching that movie and being so blown away from it. It was my favorite up until Inception because just it switches from being a funny movie to all of a sudden serious. And I remember in the theater being like, oh my gosh, like I remember the switch, and I realized those are my two movies. It's just Lucky Number 11 and Inception.
That's the first time I ever heard that word dramedy. Comic,
Yeah,
comedy drama.
yeah, like a drama and comedy at the same time. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, one actor you would love to work with.
Ooh, you know what? Jessica Chastain is the actress who plays in. She's been in a bunch of stuff. I think that she is one of the best actresses out there. Period.
Uh-huh.
She has red hair. She was in The Martian with. She plays the captain in The Martian with what Damon, what, oh gosh,
Matt Damon.
Matt Damon, and she
Mhm.
also was in Zero Dark 30. She is an actress that I believe in like she plays commanding roles so
Uh-huh.
well, and I know that she's originally a Juilliard graduate. Al Pacino as well is one of those people who gave her props about her acting ability, and
Mhm.
she is just outstanding. So I would actually say for females to be Jessica Chastain, and then for men, honestly, if I could, I would say Robert De Niro. Would love to
Oh,
act with Robert De Niro. Or Robert Downey Jr. Robert Downey Jr. because I love his comedy. I love how quick witty he is, and I think that me and him would have a good back and forth together.
is there a black actor you'd like to work with
Yes,
or,
ma'am.
or act with?
Because there's so many great ones. That's the problem.
Yeah, I mean, it's so many great black actors out there that never, I mean, they're getting seen now, but
Samuel L. Jackson would be the person that
oh,
I
I
would
love
most
Samuel
like.
L. Jackson.
I would love to work with him. That man, I was working at the studio with him one time. I got to see him. He was literally 2 feet away with me when I was working
Uh-huh.
with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And I got to work with Bill Paxton, the late Bill Paxton, who was an amazing actor. I got to work with him several times and see his
Uh-huh.
process of working. So I would say Samuel L. Jackson would be the person.
Oh, great, Brandon. All righty, let's see. Sweet, salty, or spicy snacks?
I'd say sweet snacks for sure.
Okay, sweet snacks. Okay. If you weren't an actor, what career would you pursue?
I would have. Honestly, I would have loved to have been a football player. That's always been my dream. Being a professional football player would have been that job. Other than
Mhm.
that, I think I would have made a good lawyer, to be honest with you, because take
I
people to
think so
task.
too. I think so too.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's probably would have been the
I
other
didn't
one.
want you to be a football player because I told you always own the football team.
Yes,
I didn't
ma'am.
want people knocking you around, knocking your brain back and forth. I said, just sit up there and own it. So that's
Yes,
what I
ma'am.
told you. You can always own a football team. Okay.
Yes,
Favorite
ma'am.
childhood memory from Richmond?
Favorite childhood memory? I'd probably say honestly, being with around. I realized how much now how special it was just growing up with you all,
Hmm.
and being there, and so Christmases too. Um, I would just say just spending time with you all was just probably the greatest thing. I remember even watching. I always watched TV shows with Dad. I remember him always saying, even when I was in high school, he'd always come back and it was like we'd always watch shows together and stuff. So just any time with you all in Richmond was actually always I have the fondest memory. I wouldn't be the person I am today without it.
Oh, thank you. Favorite childhood memory from South Carolina?
It is.
I had to throw that one
It's
in.
not a favorite movie. I was laughing about when I would get to Denmark and have to drop my suitcase and know that I was gonna be there for a long time. Uh, but I realized now more was when I realized my love for how much I loved going down to South Carolina and how much just traveling around with Granddad Smith to take care of the sick. So I don't think you guys might not even know that. But
Oh,
I would travel with Granddad Bishop Smith to visit the sick and to
uh-huh.
visit people that I didn't go with him to people that are incarcerated, but I went around to him to visit the elderly a lot.
Oh,
And I was his driver doing that, and or even when I wasn't his driver before I could drive, I would go around with him doing that. And I spent most of my time with Granddad at the church actually.
oh, okay. All right. What brings you joy instantly?
Honestly, Mom, anytime I get a chance to talk to you, and laugh and crack up about something with you, brings me joy instantly.
Oh, great.
And then actually, I would say too, seeing Dad in my dreams.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
I usually pray at nighttime that I'll see him in my dreams. So that's another thing that I would say. Anytime I get a chance to see my dreams is good.
Yeah, I love when my parents enter my dreams. I
Yes, ma'am.
love when I see my parents in my dream and I'm talking with them. It just brings me so much. I just don't want to
Yes, ma'am.
that dream because I see them and I love that as well. All right. And this is the final question.
Yes, ma'am.
What does buckle up mean to you in one sentence?
It means strap in because the ride might get kind of bumpy.
I love
I guess with the stuff I've been through in my life, it's never a dull day. So I always say, strap in. We're gonna go through it. We're gonna find our way through. But I'm always gonna turn out all right. Everybody says somehow things always seem to work out for Brandon, no matter what the situation.
great.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Brandon Edward Benjamin Smith, now actor Brandon Rush.
Yes, ma'am.
I want to say this from a mother's heart. Your father and I have always been proud of your courage, your integrity, your work ethic, and your commitment to uplifting. And let me make sure that everybody hears this, your commitment to uplifting others. The Buckle Up Podcast universe is more than a show, it's a ministry, a platform of hope, and a legacy we are building together. To our viewers tuning in from around the world, I want to thank you for supporting this creative journey. We celebrate Brandon tonight, and we celebrate every guest who has trusted us with their story. So until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and as always, buckle up to the Buckle Up Podcast universe.
Yes, ma'am. All right. Well,
All
clear
right.
eyes, full hearts can't lose, Mom, and I love you, and
I
thank you so
love you
much.
too. All right. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay,
Bye.
clap time.
Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all for tuning in. All right, let's see here if I can stop this real quick. Yep.